これ重要。待って、これ重要だぞ。これ、直接殺してるわ。おー、こういうことね。すべてはこのパソコン上でやっていくんだ。見ていくか。
You think it's murder? I mean, clearly it's murder.
何これ。
What can I do to help?
一通りちょっと見ていこうか。まずこれだけ。これさっきと同じ人だよね。
Yeah, that's me. But February, I mean, that was months ago. What's that got to do with Simon's murder?
いや、雰囲気怖いね。しかも多分ここで多分全部やってくんだよ。よくさ、こうやって言ってさ、ここに証拠があります。あそこに証拠がありますとかじゃないんだよ。すべて多分ここで見つけてくんだよ、証拠を。これ見てみようか。
I'd like to speak to a lawyer now.
Please.
You have no murder weapon.
この人が疑われてんのかな。
And all these stories we've been telling each other. Just that.
まだすべての全貌がつかめてないな。ひとまず3つは見た。あと他は？逆にさ、これは？ロジックデータベースについて。コンピューターテクノロジーは現代の警察活動の根幹を担うものであり、このロジックデータベースは我々の仕事の流れをデジタル化し、より活用しやすい形で証拠を保存するための試みの一つです。だって、強盗でもいけるんだ。発言と一致するクリップを見つけ出すことも可能らしい。なるほどね。棒人間で検索かけてみる。ゼロゴミ箱もあるよ、ちなみに。ミラータイルって何？うわ、何これ。何これ、怖い。クラックウィズクラス。これはミラータイルって何？ゲームだ、これは。これはこいつがデータベースだ。情報公開法に伴って申請し、ゲストとしてのアクセス権を取得しておいてよ。なるほどね。あとは強盗はまず何の事件か分かんないもんね。強盗ではない。女。女めっちゃ出てきた。女5件出てきたよ。見てみよっか。12秒。殺された人の名前、ちょっと待ってね。まず見てみよう、これ。ヘレン。ヘレンに口論のこと話してみたい。ヘレンはブロンドの女が好き。これメモしてて分かんねえな。メモするわ。まずヘレンは誰かと口論したんだね。これは17秒。
There's a girl and she's staring out of the window. She's sad.
これ何？物語？
She's trapped. She's here. She's looking out the window because her mom.
これ何の話なんだろう。だってなんか読まされてるね。ちょっとよ、サイモンのやつもう一回ちょっと殺人見てみよっか。
You think it's murder? I mean, clearly it's murder. What can I do to help?
この女誰なんだてかそもそも。この女の名前を知らん俺は。
Yeah.
ちょっと待って。ちょい。
But February, I mean, that was months ago. What's that got to do with
サイモンが殺されたのか。サイモン殺された。ちょっとけどさ、ちょっと気になるのがさ、今気になったのがさ、これ読んでるじゃんこうやって。
Yeah.
サイモンってこれもしかしてなんかこの物語の人なんじゃないのこれ。さっきもなんか読んでたよこれ。ちょっとさっきの強盗見てみよう。強盗じゃねえや。女で見てみようか。ここさ、 なんか読んでたよね、さっきね。けど服装ちげえもんな。
Okay.
ほら、これ読んでるじゃん。
There's a girl and she's staring out of the window. She's sad.
けど、
She's trapped.
時間が違うな、これ
She's
な。
here. She's looking out the window.
右下にいるのが犯人じゃない。俺、さっき棒人間で検索したらゼロだったよ。写真か、これ。他も見てみよっか。
It's Rapunzel.
プランツェルね。
The story starts.
彼女は魔女のゴーテルによって何これ。
Gothel, a witch,
物語の話してるこれ。
takes Rapunzel from her parents and keeps her locked up in this tower. Rapunzel gets pregnant by the prince. And Mother Gothel is furious, so she cuts off her hair and throws it. Actually, her hair's already short here, so that's already happened. So she throws her into the
ラ
wilderness.
プンツェルの
and
話してるよ。
Rapunzel is reunited with the prince, who's blind, but she kills him with her tears, and so it's a happy ending. Is that too much?
ハッピーエンドどう？ラプンツェルについて話しすぎちゃったわね。知らねえよ。知らねえよ、ラプンツェル。何言ってんだ、この人。ほんとな。これは？
Well,
一生ラプンツェルの話しかしてねえじゃねえ
he
か。
has a
おい。
knife. He's ill. That's why she.
ここら辺関係ないんじゃないか。
Because he's ill and
一生ラプンツェルの話してんじゃん。
die. It's kind of a sad story, so I'm not sure how it ends.
これもどうせラプンツェルだよ、どうせ。どうせこれもラプンツェルだよ。これがちょっとセッションに保存しとく。これがタグもつけれるね。ここでメモしとけばいいか。ヘレンについて。うん。保存された。オッケー。どうせこれもラプンツェルでしょ。一応見とくけど。いつまでやってんのこれ。
She's crying,
ねえ。
I guess. She's sad
俺読み
because
聞か
she
せ
saw her husband with another.
読み聞かせに来てるわけじゃないんだかな。
But it's okay because she finds out it wasn't
読み
her.
聞かせに来てるわけじゃないんだけどね、俺。
And so it's fine.
だそうです。ちょっとサイモンについて調べてみようか。あ、サイモンめっちゃ出てきたよ。まあ、サイモンが殺された人聞いてみようか。
Simon.
サイモン・スミス。
He works at Ernst Brothers Glass. They do windows, all kinds of glass. Simon does the more special work. Mirror making, feature windows, artistic things. Really
鏡とかの仕事してたんだ。グラスとか作る。サイモンについてだね、これ。保存しとこう。これは
It's the Rockington Arms, the Rock. It's run by a nice couple, Peter and Susan. There's some other regulars there that Simon likes to
あ、サイモンはお店の常連だった。ヘレン来た、ヘレン
Peter said Simon had been in and had a few drinks.
待って、ヘレン来たぞ、今。ちょっと待って。もう一回見ていい
It's the Rockington
The Rock.
Arms, the Rock.
ザ・ロックの常連で、ヘレンって女が働いてる。サイモンとヘレンの出会い。保存しとこう。これは
Yes, there's an Amstrad one.
なんだ、アムストラットのパソコンって。プリンターも一応持っていて。
So you can write letters on it. Simon
サイモンはゲームをやっているらしいよ。 趣味。
Save the princess.
これあれじゃねえ、ラプンツェルじゃないのこれ。今のラプンツェルじゃない？サイモンラプンツェルってよ、多分。これは
Simon isn't the
サイモンは失踪したり自暴自棄になるような人じゃない。
or do anything crazy. Someone must have done something.
うん。だからサイモンは殺されたと。
There must have been some kind of accident.
ほん。
So what do we do next?
心が強いって書いておくわ。これは
Thanks. Please find Simon. I love him so much.
あ、サイモンのこと好きなんだ、この女の人は。あ、いなくなった。いなくなった。なるほど。あ、なんとなく分かってきたよね。じゃあ次、ヘレン行ってみようか。あ、もう一件出てきた。ヘレンについてるとこれ。あ、ヘレンこれしかない。ザ・ロックだわ、ザ・ロック。お、出てきた。なんか新キャラ来たよ、新キャラ。俺、新キャラ来たぞ。見てみようか、まず。
So, it was Friday evening.
金曜の夜に口論。
He left. On Saturday, he didn't
エリ
come
ック
back.
な、新キャラ来た、エリック。エリック来た、新キャラ。
He was supposed to go out on Saturday afternoon.
エリック来たよ、新キャラの。
He didn't show. So Eric was ringing on the phone. I checked at the Rock. That's
うん、うん、うん、うん、うん。
They said they'd seen him on the Friday night, but not since. He still wasn't back this morning. It just isn't like him at all. Still not back by dinner time. It's getting dark again.
うん。
So I decided to come and see you. His parents haven't heard anything either.
サイモンが夜中に口論、ロック、ザ・ロックで口論。朝まで帰ってこず。これ結構重要だと思うよ、こう。これは
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, I guess the Rock. You've spoken to everyone there.
ザ・ロックが関係してるのは間違いな
Someone
い。
must have seen where he went. I don't know. So many things could have gone wrong.
ザ・ロックが関わってることには間違いないな、これ。これは ?4 秒しかないし、これ。
Yeah, I had to let myself in.
あ、閉めるとロックがかかる仕組みよ。ってことね。これは
Yes, I always pull it shut and then lock the bigger lock with the key.
うん、うん、うん。じゃあ、ここら辺は関係ないな。ここだな。この2個は大事だ。次、エリック聞いてみようか。
He was wearing a shirt, a blue turtleneck shirt and jeans.
エリックの特徴、その時の。
He has a watch. It's a really nice one. That was a gift from his boss, Eric.
あ、じゃあエリックからもらったもの。だからエリックの話はしてない、ここ。
He had his coat, a long grey duffel coat.
誰の話してんのこれ。
There. He would have taken that with him. It's not in the house.
誰の話をしてるこれは
Yes, there's a
車はキャバリエに乗ってるわ。
Cavalier and a van he uses for work. It's owned by Eric, but
これサイモンか。サイモンの話をしてるの
both
か。
of them are there now, parked on the street. I'm not sure about the keys for the van. I can look if you want to get that.
バンを貸してる。これは
Yes, that would be in his wallet. It's a Visa, a silver one. He doesn't like to spend money he doesn't have, so he usually pays with cash, but Eric convinced him to get one.
これは
Eric was like an uncle to him.
エリックは彼の良き理解者。
They spend a lot of time with each other.
まあ、サイモンっぽいけどね。
Conferences.
まあ、確定ではないな。
Have you met his wife, Diane?
ダイアン来たダイアン。まあ、新キャラ出てきた。ダイアン出てきたぞ。ダイアンつだ。大体見たね。ダイアン行こうか。ダイアンじゃない、ダイアン。そう。おー、結構出てきた。ギター持ってるけど。これは
Diane is really nice.
ダイアンはいいや
She
つ。
helps out with the Glaziers.
エリックの会社を手伝ってる。
That sort of thing. They have two kids, really sweet kids.
ガキ2人。
She used to look out for me when I worked there.
これ、ダイヤについて保存しとくわ。あとは、ここはこれもなんか物語の話してるっぽいな。もう見てみようか。
Yeah, that's Simon's watch. It was a gift from Eric. He got it this year.
もう違う。
It was a wedding anniversary gift.
もう
Steel.
結婚記念日。待って、ダイアンは、サイモンの
That's Simon's
嫁
watch.
か。
It was a gift from Eric. He got it this year. It was a wedding anniversary gift.
サイモンの妻だ。
Steel.
だよね、多分。
It
違
was
う
Diane who chose it. She has really nice taste.
この人がダイアンなの。自分でダイアンね。
That's fine. You must eliminate me. I was in Glasgow then.
この電話、後ろの電話嫌だ。さすがにこの人がダイアンじゃないだろ、多分。これちょっと大事だな。最後の時計を確認。エリックはセンスないやつ。そうなるかもしんない。これは
Not really. He would go to the pub. He had his drinking buddies there, but no one
ザロックの話だよね、これ。
Sometimes
エリックとダイアン。
and his wife would come and
はいはいはいはい。
that would be us returning the favor. Diane is a really
ダイアン料理がうまい。
into her trendy.
料理が上手。
And the last time Simon cooked something off MasterChef, he got the recipe off Sweetbacks, and I did my Lord Grossman bit, commenting from the sidelines. I had to find fennel from the supermarket. Have you ever eaten fennel?
何フェンネルって。フェンネルって俺わかんない。ファンケルしかわかんないわ。これは鉄腕と友。これ何
Simon and Eric arguing?
サイモンとエリックが口論
I can't imagine they'd be arguing.
想像できないわ。
Get on so well. Unless it was something to do with work. Maybe
サイモンは完璧主義者。
perfectionist. But I don't know. You should ask Diane.
サイモンは完璧主義者。ダイアンについては以下の通り。これワンチャン犯人って調べたら出てくんじゃね？いないわ、さすがに。さすがにネタバレは禁止。グラスゴーだっけ？お、出てきた。
I got in the car and I drove. I just kept driving north. Just kept going, just wanted to get as far away as I could. When I finally stopped, I was all the way up in Glasgow. I was so tired.
グラスゴーだよね、会社の名前。違ったっけ？グラスゴーだっけ、会社の名前。ちょっと会社の名前忘れちゃったんだけど。エリックの。ね、エリックの会社の名前忘れちゃったよ、俺。もう一回エリックについて言いたい。サイモンについてじゃない。
So, it was Friday evening.
これむずいっす。まあ、金曜の夜に口論して彼が出ていった。そっから行方不明なのは分かった。
On Saturday, he didn't come back.
エリックを手伝うことになってた。
He was supposed to go help Eric out with something on the Saturday afternoon. They had a job, but he didn't show. So Eric was ringing on the phone. I checked at the Rock, that's our local. They said they'd seen him on the Friday night, but not since. He still wasn't back this morning.
誰と口論になったんだ、これ。
At all. Still not back by dinner time. It's getting dark again. So I decided to come see you.
こいつ誰？ていうか、こいつ誰なんだ？お、なんだこれ。
It happened very quickly. We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost.
暗黙の了解？暗黙のうちに赤ちゃんであり、そのために協力し合う。何？え、こいつあれじゃねえの？
We cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror. Her
お、
clothes.
ちょ。
They're gone.
ちょい。
We took him down to the cellar.
これ。
We knew we had an alibi, and we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then disprove it, rather than have it linger.
え？
Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it. The watch, that was my touch.
なんかこれやべえ話してないか？
To make sure the alibi stuck.
え、ちょっと待って、これやばい話してない？音楽変わったし。音楽が流れてきた。え、なにやめてほしい。
It happened very quickly. We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost silently. The baby was what mattered. We'd help each other. We cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror, her clothes. They're gone. We took him down to the cellar. We knew
自白してるっぽいよね
had an alibi.
ここ
But we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then
これやべえ話してるこれ
rather than have it linger. Better to keep the body in the house than risk being
死体隠してるもんだって
The watch,
時計は私のアイディア
that was my touch. To make sure the alibi stuck.
いや怖いここ自白なんかやばいクリップあれしちゃったなけどまだ全然わかんないよね鏡で調べてみようかでこの白い服の日がやばいね多分この白い服の日激アツな日じゃないこれ見てみようか
My name is Hannah.
あ、花
H-A-N-N-A-H.
花ちゃんこの人の
Miss Pandre.
花ちゃんこれ花ちゃん
It reads the same
あなたは花ちゃんですか
backwards. It doesn't work from here though. It's not quite symmetrical, but well, I mean, you get the idea. Sorry. Hannah Smith. I live at 31 Gladstone.
花さんこの人は花さんです新キャラ出てきたやっとお前の名前があった花ちゃんだこの人花ちゃん花ちゃん面白い花ちゃん花ちゃんについてですこれは
It wasn't the present so much. It was one of those arguments that had been simmering for a while. The present was a mirror. A nice mirror. He'd engraved the glass.
鏡をあげた
The kind of mirror a princess would have in a story. He made it specially for me.
これは
His body
死体の話してるここ
didn't look real. His throat.
喉
It looked like his throat had been cut.
喉切り裂かれて死んでるらしいぞサイモン
His glasses.
メガネはかけてなかった
Glasses.
メガネかけてなし死んだ時サイモンの死体についてたねこれねこれは
The mirror. I can't remember. I put it somewhere safe. Upstairs, I think. I haven't looked at it since.
死体について調べてみようかおめっちゃ出てきた違うねこの日は激アツの日じゃないねこの背景真っ白の服も白いやつ激アツのクリップが多め見てみようか
The bruise.
明日
I have a really fast metabolism, so
代謝がいいからすぐ消えちゃうの
I don't know if there's much more that I can tell you that I haven't already told the other policemen. I found the body.
花が死体見つけたっていうか、まあ、こいつがやったんだもんなこれは
It was after dinner. I'd spoken to Sam's parents on the phone. I looked up for an early night and I suddenly had this thought. I think it was something his mum had said. She'd been speaking about old stuff, sad stuff, about when we lived there, about the baby. There's some boxes in the cellar, nursery stuff we never needed, and I never had the heart to throw out. I suddenly remembered that when I'd looked down there the week
1週
before,
間前に地下室の箱の位置がいつもと違ったことを思い出したっぽいね
place.
これは重要っぽいな重要っぽい
Cold all over.
重要な気がするこれ
I went down there with a torch and went straight to the back, and that's when I saw the bin bags. Pulled them open, saw the body. I screamed, and that's when I called the
死体は袋に入ってたんだねこれは
1984. wasn't all for you in the end. We were living at Doug and Eleanor's. I lost
ダ
a
グと
baby
エレ
in
ノアと
spring
暮らして
and
て
parents died.
赤ちゃんを失い夏に両親を失った。
It was a hot
すごい暑い
summer,
夏だったから
heat wave.
これ
So when they discovered the bodies, it was just
この死体多分関係ないな。
awful.
この死体多分関係ないわ。
Because of the circumstances, them dying together like
多分
that, they brought in a lot of
おそらく関
bodies.
係ない。
The forensic entomologist. I had to look that up. It was because of the heat.
これ昔の話してるね。
It's just awful.
これは多分違う。これは鉄腕の友。
Really? Okay. Here's the rest. Oh, they laid a body on the doctor. Oh, wind and the rain.
全然関係ないこれ絶対。これ絶対関係ない。
Walking by on a dreadful wind and rain. I made a fatal bow of her long hair. Oh, the wind and the rain.
いやこれ関係ないわ。これ関係ない絶対。あと誰について調べるよこれ。メガネをかけてなかったって言ってたね。あけどこれだけだメガネは。花について調べてみようか。花言っちゃった。花お待ってやばい出てきた。この白い背景だと激アツのシーンだからね。こう見てみようか。
Yes, my name is Hannah Smith.
うんうん。
Oh, shit. Sorry. Across the road, where my parents first lived there, was a midwife called Florence. When Hannah was born, I was born at the same time.
怖いって。
The midwife was there to help. I'd been throttled by the cord, probably wrapped around my neck by
これ
Hannah.
過去の話してるね。
The midwife told my mother I was dead,
怖いって。この日だけ。
but I wasn't.
異常に怖いこの日だけ。
She wrote all this stuff in a diary.
彼女の日記。
Amazing what people will admit to on paper.
うわびっくりした。怖い。やめろ突然来るな。いや音楽変わったし。いやこの日やっぱりやばいって。この日ちょっとまずいな。
Across the road, where my parents first lived there, was a midwife called
マジびっ
Florence.
くりした今。
When Hannah was born, I was born at the same time.
待って双子なんだ多分こ
The
れ。
midwife was there to help.
待って。
I'd been
え
throttled
この
by
人
the
双子な
cord,
の？
probably wrapped around my neck by Hannah. The midwife
双子だね多分この
told
人。
my mother I was dead,
おそらく。
but I wasn't.
じゃない？
She wrote all this stuff in a diary. Amazing what people will admit to on paper.
双子っぽくね？だからこのどうなんだ分かんなくなってきたぞ。
She recognized me from the window. She told me to come inside, and she hid me. They had made the attic into a place where Hannah could play. There was a dollhouse. She hid me up there. No one else ever went into the attic.
ちょっと分かんねえな。うわびっくりした。やめろ。怖いってやめろって。これなんだこれ。イブって何？新キャラ出てきた。イブって誰？待ってイブ。新キャラ出てきたイブ。カ かもしんない。花とイブが双子の可能性ある。次これ見終わったらイブ調べる。あ、出てきた。出てきた、ほら。
My mother called me Eve.
イブと呼んだ。いや、これ怖いってやめろって。マジびっくりするからやめてほしい。
Well,
友達のイブ
my friend Eve. I mean, she was a friend from when I was a kid. And she was always more popular with the boys, and I used to hate her for
イ
it.
ブについて
I mean, really hate her.
憎んでる。イブについてだね、これ。これは
Yes. We'd fight. We fought on the beach once, and I held Eve's head underwater. There was no one else around.
結構エク喧嘩してる。これ多分今日の話じゃないと思うな。
I held her head under,
殺す気やん。
kept it out. And for a moment,
うわ、結構えぐい話してるね、ここらへん。
and watched her drown. But that was it. It was just a moment. We made up after. It was a love-hate relationship.
これは
A police station. Yeah. When I was young, we ran away on my birthday. Bob Dylan was playing in London, and we thought we could break into his tour bus and have him take us with him. The taxi driver we paid.
ここら辺多分関係ね
I mean, we'd saved money.
え。ここら辺関係ないわ。
To get here and there.
これは無視していいわ、多分。
He was suspicious because we were so young, so he told the police. So they came and picked us up and took me back to Portsmouth. My mum picked me up from the station. But I blamed everything on my friend Eve. So my parents let me off.
なんかだんだん人がいっぱい出過ぎて分かんなくなってきちゃった。サイモン・スミスと、ちょっと整理しよう。断片的な記憶を。で、エリックがいて、いや、イブが花になりすました可能性はある、もちろん。そう、可能性としては全然ある。ヘレン。これが多分ザロックの女の子。イブなのに花って名乗ってた。あれ、さっきのやつ。あ、シートってやつ。で、ダイアン。ダイアンは、まず、エリックの会社を手伝ってる。で、子供は2人いる。で、料理がうまい。料理がうまいとかは別に関係ねえか。で、花ちゃん。花とイブ。花スミス。登場人物としてはこんな感じが、イブ、ダイアン、エリック、ヘレン。こんなもんですか。大体。まず、人間として、ちょっと登場人物でちょっとまとめるとこんな感じか。双子とかちらっている、双子。はい、出てきたー。
There were always princes and princesses. They were the special people, more important than the other characters in their stories. We knew we were like that. Twins. Magical. We were the princess.
双子だね、多分ね。多分。
We had a poster of Princess Diana from
おそらく。
paper up in our attic. Had a pride of place.
双子の話をしても、私たちもそんな気分だって言ったのは、
When her engagement was
状況が同じだからだ、
announced,
多
we were
分。
obsessed with everything she did. And later, when her life went so bad, we felt for her. Her divorce last year just kind of
離婚
reminded things.
離婚してんのか。やめろ、音楽消えるな。離婚の話ってこれ。これは
Are you out of your mind? Twins. Twins.
続きだこれ。
Really? Are you really asking me that question?
やめろよ、それ、やめろ、それ、マジびっくりするからやめてくれ。離婚で調べてみようか。あ、離婚これしか出てこないね。結婚の話は逆に。はい、めっちゃ出てきた結婚の話。ハナ・スミス。
A long time. We got married.
17歳で結婚したから。 さあ、ちょっとわかんない、これ。
Childhood sweethearts. Something like that. Are you married, detective? I got pregnant. Both our parents had a big powwow. We weren't even in the room, and they decided we should get married. I guess you could call it that, but we were both happy to get married. It was a beautiful wedding. We had our first dance to come back and stay. I'm not sure if that's a good wedding song, but I loved it. I chose it.
結婚式の話してるね。
I mean, it was genuinely our first dance. We'd never danced together before. It was probably awful to watch, but I enjoyed it. It felt like it was just me and Simon for that moment.
今、サイモンつったか
Just the two of us.
今、サイモンつったか
We spent the wedding night in a hotel in Brighton. It would have been too much to do more. We were saving for the baby. It was wonderful.
赤ちゃん気になるな。
Away from home.
赤ちゃん気にならないちょっと。
Together. Since then, we've always tried to get away for our holiday.
赤ちゃん気にならないちょっと。来た。
We couldn't afford our own place. Simon dropped out of school, went full time at the Glazers.
サイモン学校辞めたんだ。
That was Eric's
で、ガラス屋さんで働いてみたいな感じか。
They had a spare room for us and the baby if it came. It was a nice change, time to myself, living there for those months, full of hope.
赤ちゃん。
From when I woke up. Okay. I woke up. Simon was already up, and he made me birthday breakfast of eggs Benedict.
これアリバイの話してるね、多分。
We both had to go to work, so we saved presents till later. I got to work, had some birthday cake. Children sang me happy birthday. Then I came home. The birthday meal was a takeaway. And Simon gave me his present,
待って、これいつの話だ
which I didn't mind.
サイモンプレゼントしました。
And after that,
赤ちゃんの話し
we
て
talked、about the baby. Turned into a
口論になった
argument. Simon left.
出てって
I was furious.
ザロックに行ったんじゃない
I wanted to get as far away as I could and get some space to think. So I left.
待って、これ大事な話してるな。多分、これサイモンがザロックに行く前じゃないか。多分。これちょっと、重要じゃない結構。両親で調べてみる。出てきた。新しいやつ。
No. I lost the baby. I had a miscarriage at 8.
流産した。
We carried on living at Simon's parents.
サイモンの家出た。
That was only a few months after. Then my parents.
そして両親が亡くなった。
It was the worst year of my life.
いや、多分これまた別の話なの。流産、そうだ、流産した上に子供が亡くなった。って話してる。あと何調べるかなちょっと、わかんねえぞ、これ。サイモンがザロックに行くまでの話してもう一回聞いてみようか。
From when I woke up. Okay. I woke
まあ、サイ
up.
モン先起きて、誕生日だったから、
Birthday breakfast of
あ、
eggs Benedict.
花が誕生日だったんだ、その日。
We both had to go
で、
to
仕事行
work,
っ
so
て
we、saved presents till later. I got to work. Had
花の
some
誕生日だったんだね、この日は多分。
Children sang me happy birthday. Then I came home. The birthday meal was a takeaway. And Simon gave me his present, which I didn't mind. And after that, we talked about the baby.
口論になった、ここで、花とサイモンが。
Simon left. I was furious. I wanted to get as far away as I could and get some space to think. So I left.
だね。 口論内容聞きてー。はい、出てきた。
There's married couple stuff. A stupid argument, nothing specific. No one knows how to push your buttons better than those you're close to. No.
口論はしたけど、
Yes, we have arguments, but never
いつもなら彼は必ず持ってきて、
back.
最後に仲直りしたわ。そうだよ、なんか芯が強い人って言ってたもんね、さっきね。
Yes. He left after the argument. It was about
8時。
8 o'clock.
8時だって、難しくなってきたぞ。時系列的に行くと、まず8時に喧嘩、サイモン家を出る。で、朝起きて、20時後、ザロックの話を聞きたいけど、ザロックの話あんまなかった気がすんだよな。夜で調べてみようか。
I wasn't in the house all of Friday night. After the argument, after Sunday,
うん、出てた。
I left too. I was upset and I wanted to get away. So I took the car.
サイモン家で、花も家で。花も家でしたね、ここで。よいしょ。ほい。
I didn't. I slept in the car. I left about 9 that night.
私が向こうを出たのは夜の9時頃。向こうってどこだ？いや、これ時間の話。いや、それがあれなんじゃないの？さっきの。時計は私のアイディアで。みたいなやつ言ってたじゃん、イブが。この話してるっぽくね、多分。
I thought it made me sound suspicious. It's not a normal thing to do to drive to the other end of the country. I wanted to keep it simple. I know it was stupid not to tell you everything. Saying I spent the night in Glasgow when my husband went missing, I thought it would
グラスゴーにいた。
distract you from what was important. It's different now. Now he's...
グラスゴーの話、なんだ、ひとまずグラスゴーを調べよう。なんか一回グラスゴー調べたんだよな。よいしょ。
Yes. I got to Glasgow, I was exhausted, so I pulled over and slept in the car. I woke up because a rubbish truck went past. I got some petrol, bought a coffee and a pastry, tried calling someone from the payphone, and then headed back.
時間で検索いいね。これちょっと見たらやろっか。
No, I don't think so. Glasgow was deserted that early in the morning.
朝のグラスゴー。朝グラスゴーが、花がグラスゴーにいます。グラスゴーで目覚め。
When I arrived in Glasgow, I was exhausted. The streets were empty.
事故ってるし、しかも。
driving back,
事故ってるし。
and I hit a taxi. Not a big crash, just paintwork. The guy was so pissed off because I didn't have
無免許運転してるし。
when I told him I was
妊
pregnant.
娠してると言うと心配されて病院に行くことや
Made
った。
sure I got to the hospital so they could check me out.
異常はなかったけど。
The hospital must have details.
病院、ちょっと病院来た。
There's a scratch on the car.
病院に行ってるわ、どっかのタイミングで。8時からグラスゴーに行くまでの間、グラスゴーで目覚めるまでの間で多分病院どっかに行ってるわ、これ。時間、検索してみよう。あ、来た。
I left the next day, Saturday.
金曜日に喧嘩して、
When I woke up, I came straight back. Simon wasn't returning my calls and I wanted to try and make up. I got back to the house and Simon wasn't
まあそうだよ、
there.
死んでるからね。
I...
おお。
Is there a bin?
あ、そっか。ゲロ。どうしようか。
That should eliminate me as a suspect. If I was in Glasgow, can't be in two places at once. Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to.
これ家の話してるな。
I walked in.
サイモンのコートも靴もやたらなかった。
I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe rack. I shouted out. I walked straight into the kitchen because he usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper. But he wasn't there. I touched the kettle. It was cold.
これ多分死体発見までの話だな。
Nothing. So I walked upstairs to the bedroom.
死体発見までの話だねこれ多分。
I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. I had a shower. The phone rang whilst I was in the shower. I didn't answer it.
エリックから電話。
Then I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, though I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one
結構経ってんだ時間。
And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's
ま
when
だエリックから電話。
and this time I spoke to him. Then I called Doug and Eleanor.
ダグとエレノアって誰？ダグとエレノアって誰ですか？新キャラ出てきた。だってダグとエレノアこれ大事だな。ダグとエレノア出てきた新キャラ。ダグとエレノアこれ大事だわ。死体発見までの話。ダグで調べてみようか。来た。
Yeah. I've been round to Doug and Eleanor's and they're very worried. I feel sorry for them. I got a job to contribute, you know. Doug knew someone and I got a job as a dinner lady at the primary school. They said it didn't matter if I could cook or not, just don't poison the kids. So you see, it's always been complicated between me and Simon. It's never just been the two of us. There's always been pressure.
まあ花は料理が下手なんだね。これ多分花は。
I hoover, I dust every week, maybe less. I once asked Eleanor how often I should dust, and she said, if people ask, tell them you do it once a week, but every few weeks is okay. I think she was just trying to make me feel better. I mean, when I was there, she was hoovering every day, you know, ran an ordered house. You know how that generation is, putting on a brave front.
ダグとエレノアがちょっとわかんねえな。
Doug doesn't even know she smokes.
ダグとエレノアの関係がちょっとわからないな。
She has these sort of porcelain vases, ornamental, next to the Reader's Digest books. Cigarettes inside. And she still has them. I mean, last time I was there, I looked in a vase. There was a fresh pack. I mean, all those years of marriage. And she still has a secret like that.
ダグとエレノアは夫婦なのか？ここ。夫婦なのかね？
Yes. I speak with Eleanor at least once a day. Not that there's anything much to say. It's more just...
おう特に話すことが実績ゲットした。病院で調べてみようか次。グラスゴーに行くまでの過程、病院でどうのこうのって言ってたよな。はい来た。
Ask the hospital.
うん。
I don't see how it's hard. We'd established I was in Glasgow when he was killed. We've spoken with the hospital.
朝グラスゴーで目覚めて帰ってきて、その時はもうサイモンが多分もう死んでるからね。そうだね。お、やばい、激アツクリップあった。激アツクリップが出てきたぞ。
It's like I told you before. I
前に
drove.
話した通り、
I took the car
車に手かけた。
and drove.
スペアキーを持っていたから。
But I have a spare set of keys. I just
で北に行った。
north. I wanted to think, put some space
う
between
んうん、
me
喧嘩した後の話だな。
Everything I told you before is true. I stopped at Glasgow. I was
う
tired.
ん、グラスゴー疲れてて、
I pulled out
タクシーにぶつかっ
and I hit
て
the、car. My car was okay, but I was worried about
病院
the baby,
行
so
っ
I
て、
went to get the okay.
問題なくて、
Slept in the car. When I woke, I tried to call Hannah from a
待って、何の話してんだこれ。
and then I decided to drive back. I had decided that
んちょっと待って、これ何の話してんだん花の方が大事ちょっと待って。これ何の話してた今。もう一回聞いていいこれ。
It's like I told you before. I drove. I took the car and drove. I don't have my own car, but I have a spare set of keys.
これどっかで変わってんのこれ。
North.
イブと花
I
が。
wanted to think, put some space
何
between
の話だこれ。
Everything I told you before is true. I stopped at Glasgow. I was tired.
グラスゴーに行ったの花じゃないの？
I pulled out and I hit a car. My car was okay, but I was worried about the baby, so I went to A&E to get the okay. Everything was fine. Slept in the car. When I woke, I tried to call Hannah from a payphone. She wasn't answering.
待って、イブが行ったのかこれグラスゴーに。なんだ？
I had decided that she was more important to me than Simon.
どうなってんのこれ。背景真っ白いやつはほんと激アツクリップしかねえ。タクシーはこの3件しかないのか。車で8秒。
Yeah. I pulled over and slept in the car. This was just by the side of the road. I was exhausted.
待って、8時にサイモン家出して、花も家出して、グラスゴーで目覚めたのは花じゃないの？なんでイブも同じ話してるんだこれ。わかんなくなってきた。ちょっと一回、ちょっと落ち着こうや。自白もう一回見よう。
It happened very quickly. We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost silently. The baby was what mattered. With help,
待って、これイブと花共犯かこれ。
we cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror.
イブと花共犯かこれ。
They're gone. We took him down to the cellar.
うん、多分そう。
We
っぽいよね。
had an alibi, and we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then disprove it, rather than have it linger. Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it. The watch, that was my time.
これイブと花くせえ
To
な
make。sure the alibi stuck.
共犯だぞこれ多分。だったらこれもちょっと納得がいくわ。双子なんだから分かんねえからどっちでもいいんだもんな。話なんてイブだろうが花だろうがこれ。イブがグラスゴーに行こうが花がグラスゴーに行こうがどうでもいいんだもん俺。はい、なんか出てきた。ほら、激アツクリップ出てきたぞ。待って、この服初めてじゃね？
Like I said, I think I was popping out to get something. Ran out
これ
of
イブか
something,
な？
had to grab something. I sometimes drive too fast. If you want, you can arrest me for that.
出てきたよ、激アツクリップ。
I'm not sure where the dollhouse came from. I don't know if it was given to them or they inherited it. I mean, they wouldn't have had the money to buy it. It was so huge. It must have been taken up to the attic and parked and then reassembled.
分解して運んだって？
It's a beautiful
あ、
thing.
何？
Wallpaper to scale. little furniture,
びっくりした。死体の話だと思った。
mirrors, beds, big duvets and pillows. We spent hours and hours playing in it, invented all these
人形の
characters
家の話をしてるところ
and
ね。
families who lived there. We wrote paperwork for them all, passports, diaries, and gave them all really
うんうん
elaborate
うん。人形
stories.
にこうやったと。
Once, a moth got trapped in there. We'd left a light on. It was making the most horrendous noise. We tried to kill it, but it was tough. We ended up crushing it under a copy of the Arabian Nights.
昔話をしてるこれ。これは
Differences?
相違点？
She's a better driver than me. She passed the test for us. I tried to take it and nearly crashed the car. Learned that you can't rely on
はあ、
confidence.
なんか分かったわ。
She is the shy one. She was especially shy around boys. If Hannah liked a boy, I would have to pursue her. It was that way with Carl.
カール、新規が出てきた。カール。
She had such a crush.
なんかだんだん分かってきた、ちょっとずつ。
My virginity after a night that his band had played at. It got difficult. When I was with Carl, we would have sex, but Hannah couldn't let him see she was a virgin. She had lots of excuses. After a while, we decided that I should take Hannah's virginity. It's not that different to a bruise, pulling a tooth, a graze.
待って、分かった気がする、ちょっ
We
と。
used a hairbrush. After that, we took it in turns, though. I was always the one who seduced the boys. Until Simon.
はい、来た。イブとハナ、双子だわ。確定。まず確定。まずここで確定したわ。双子。双子でかつ、多分、この二人って、適材適所で出してるんだ、こうやって。イブとハナを。てか、サイモンとハナは結婚してるけど、裏を返せばイブと結婚してることにもなるんじゃないこれ。違うだから、あれ、さっきのさ、タクシーとぶつかってどうのこうのって話したじゃん。で、免許がなくてみたいな。イブとハナ多分これ、そう、イブは免許持ってないけど、ハナは免許を持ってるんだ。だけど、実際に事故ったのはイブだから、って話でしょ、多分。違うそれだったら辻褄合うよ、ちょっと。で、いや、そう、それで最後さ、なんか、ハナ・スミス、オー、シットって言ってたじゃん。これも合うよね、辻褄。だって自分はハナでありイブなんだもん。そうじゃないそう考えたら全て合致するけど。だって自分は、イブは、ね、ハナって名乗り続けて生きてきたんだから、あそこで間違えるのは無理ないよね。はい、合致した、全て。ここで。やばい話聞いちゃった。このハナとイブが殺したのは確定だわ。イブが殺したんであればハナも殺したんだわ、多分。イブ、サイモンのことを。寒気してきたね、ちょっと。寒気してきた。そういうことで間違いないわ。カールについて調べてみよっか。カール、うん。おい、来た。
Hannah was so smitten with Simon. She started getting jealous. Didn't want to share. Even the first date. We went to see Tom Cruise. We both went. Kept changing places in the toilet. We only had one best dress, so we had to keep
一人全裸じゃねえか、じゃあ。
Must have thought we had terrible bladder problems. The next date, it was my turn.
交互にデートしてる。
At the end, I let him kiss me. But that was it. We didn't want another Carl on our hands, and the Ouija board had said to hold back.
うんうん。
After that, it was Hannah's turn, and she slept with him. Broke the rules. Deliberately broke
だんだん花がこう、我が強くなり始めたん
the
だ。
rules. She wanted to be the first to sleep with him. I mean, that's when she got pregnant. From that one time.
びっくりした。 こ、花が、我が強くなったんだね。ここら辺なんだ。これ見てみようか。あ、あざ。
Was he my first? No need to be so coy.
うん。
No, he wasn't my first.
うんうんうんうん。
That would have been
これ、
Carl.
これイブの話だな。
He was a local boy
イブだこれ多分。
in a band.
バンドのメンバー。
He was a bit of a shit. But he was sexy. We were 15.
カールとイブだよね、最初多分。イブが積極的って言ってたから、カールとイブは肉体関係があるね。で、サイモンとハナがここ、一発で妊娠させた。一発で妊娠させた。うん。めっちゃウィングマンって呼ぼう。サイモンのことこれからウィングマンって呼ばない？
Family. So, Carl fucked off, and then there were other boys here and there.
で、サイモンとやったと。はいはいはいはいはいはい。カールに関してはこの5個しかクリップがないと。てかさ、このゲームさ、あれだよな。イブの話になるとなんか演出くるよな。音楽鳴ったり、ピーポー鳴ってみたり。あ、何で調べるかな。セックスの話してみっか。あれ出てくる。ほら出てきた。はい出てきた。しかもこれ2分もあるこの動画。
The parents decided there would be a wedding. After the wedding,
さスミスのサイモンの家引っ越した。
there was no way I could follow,
でイブと別居。
so we were separated again. I stayed in the attic. It was hard. It's like I suddenly didn't exist.
はいはいはい。
I would sneak out, but in case anyone recognized me, I would stay big.
うんうん。
Hannah and I would meet up in the park. I was trying to get pregnant, but I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't do it with anyone we knew, so it was sex with strangers, drunk guys I'd met in clubs.
このゲームちょっとセックス重要だから。
I was 17. It felt like I was being punished. But it was Hannah who had betrayed us.
うんうんうんうんうん。
I had to stop when one of the guys gave me an STD. When we met up, it was disturbing. For the first time, my reflection, she didn't look like me.
まあ大体
She was fatter.
大体なんか殺した動機も分かってきた気するわなん
Everything I
か。
was getting skinnier. I found it hard to look sometimes. We talked about what to do. Was it time to become our own people? I mean, that seemed like the right thing to do, but neither of us wanted.
大体これなんで殺したか分かってきたかもしれん。サイモン。
We agreed that her and Simon would get their own place as soon as possible, and then I could move in.
うんうん。
And that was the plan.
ほら来た。あ激アツ演出。俺ちょっと仮説をさ言うから聞いてもらっていい？イブとハナは適材適所でこう入れ替わっていたから、もう二人は一人の存在だったんだけど、サイモンとハナが熱く惹かれることになって二人がどんどん分離していくと。ハナとイブがサイモンとハナがエッチして一発で妊娠しちゃったと。ハナがで妊娠していくごとに花が変わっていって、どんどん対比でイブは痩せてって花は太っていって、こうなるとどっちがイブでどっちが花かっていうのが一目で分かって、一目見ただけで分かっちゃうから、この関係秘密にしておきたいからサイモン殺した方がよくねってなったんじゃね？俺はそう見てるわ今。イブも頑張ってなんとか花と同じような感じになんないといけなくて、妊娠を何回もトライをしたけどダメで疲れていくばかりで、花はどんどん妊娠することによって容姿が変わっていって、でその花がそれを許すのかなんだけど、どっちを取るか、愛を取るのか、それとも この二人の関係を取るのか、どっちを天秤にかけた結果、どっちが重いかだね。うん。これ大事だわ、やっぱり。そう、産んでるよね。産んでるんだよね。産んでるんだよね。多分。これ来た。
I wouldn't say that. It could be passionate.
セックスの話、イブめっちゃする。
It was more than that. It wasn't just sex like I had been with the other boys. You're reaching here. And I don't know why. No, I've never cheated on anyone. I've never taken anything from anyone. Simon is dead.
うん。
But I have my baby.
うん、産んでるね。産んでるわ、産んでる、産んでる、産んでる。
Why are you trying to make me sad? Why are you so obsessed with sex and affairs?
うん、うん、うん、うん、うん。
You cheated on your wife.
なるほど。
Is this your thing?
いや、わかんない。ちょっとまあ、これも仮説の段階だけど、多分この時点では多分、花を演じてると思う、多分。だけど、この白い背景の時はもう、イブだわ。おそらくここで境で分かれてると思うよ、多分。うん、浮気。お、来たぞ。
Have I ever cheated on Simon? You asked that question yesterday. Simon never cheated on me. He was devoted to me, and I was devoted to him. Nothing in life is easy. We were good to each other. Life isn't a fairy tale. You do what you can.
それは
An affair. Simon wasn't having an affair.
これイブだ。イブじゃない。これは花だ。
No, I have never been unfaithful. I've never cheated on Simon.
性病。おい、来た。性病の話したもんな、さっき。
I was living in the attic.
屋根裏も気になるね、これね。
It was a very
屋根裏の。
hard time. I was depressed. Was still pretty sick of the STD. And I came down one morning and they were dead.
は？彼らってなんだ？
They were in bed and both had been sick. They'd thrown up a lot. And I'd slept through it. The police said it was the mushrooms they ate. Dad was a mushroom expert. He used to take us picking with him and he taught us how to recognize them. There's no way you would have picked dead caps.
何の話してんだ、これ。
But the police believe that's what happened. They never even looked in the attic.
屋根裏部屋暑いな、これな。うわ、びっくりした。やめろ、それ。キノコで死んだ。屋根裏部屋。多分このワード結構熱いぞ。おー、来た。しかも11個クリップあるし、これ。
Yes. I inherited it from
これ花だ
my
ね。
parents, so it made sense to move back. Me and Simon. Felt like going back to old ways before the pregnancy. Reminded me of being a girl, a dollhouse in the attic, old things. We didn't sleep in my parents' bedroom for a long time. We decorated it as soon as we moved in, but it was another year before we started sleeping there. Yes, I read a lot as a child and watched lots of TV. Then the doll's house we had.
人形の家も結構熱いワードだと思うな。
It's kind of a fairy castle. We used to play out there and make up our own stories. Could the hares have come from somewhere else? I mean, could they? We have a lot of dolls.
屋根裏でなんか見つかったんだ
There's a
な。
Rapunzel doll with long blonde hair. Could they have come from there?
屋根裏でなんかしてるな、これ多分。いや、可能性ある。そうだわ。いや、それだ。間違いない、それだ。イブの毛が見つかったの屋根裏部屋で。そうだわ。はい、来た。
Simon is 6 foot, darkish blonde hair, average build. He's clean shaven.
これ多分、サイモンの、
If his beard grows,
サイモンの特徴か、これ。
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with ginger hair. And border photo. They said a spring photo. This was taken last year on holiday in Rome. It's the best one I have.
サイモンの特徴っぽいな。検索履歴セックス、浮気、病院検査、屋根裏、毛。
What kind of hairs?
とんでもない。セックス、浮気、病院、性病、屋根裏、毛。毛のキーワード4つしかなかったね。あとなんで、人形の家。人形調べよう。ああ、5個しかないんだ、人形の家は。あとなんだべな。妊娠はあ、来た。
Yes, I'm fine. Oh, I was sick again.
これゲロ吐いたとか
This happens some days. I'm pregnant. It's morning sickness.
なんか曲変わったんだけど。曲変わった。今の重要なクリップだったんか。曲変わったぞ。あ、これゲロ吐いた後だじゃあ。これは
No. Well, yes. He found out on my birthday. I told him I was pregnant.
二人目妊娠してるこれ。これさらに妊娠してるよね、多分。あと何で検索しようかな。どこが気になるかな、あとは。キノコ。はい、来た。
They said it was food poisoning.
食中毒。
There was something in the food they ate. My dad liked to pick mushrooms, grow them too. They said it was the mushrooms. It was hard to believe. Death caps.
うんうん、これさっき話した
A
ね。
skirt around the cap.
これさっき話してたよ。
That. But, I mean, the police had no reason to think it was suspicious. They lived alone. And no one had any reason to hurt them.
殺されてるな、これ、父さん多分。曲変わったって。怖いってやめてほしいって。食中毒調べよう。
At the time they said it was poison. food poisoning. I mean, I felt so guilty. If I'd still been at home, maybe I could have done something. I didn't.
父親調べよう。出てこない。
Yeah, when I was at school. I worked part-time in the front shop. It was sort of an extended family thing. My dad used to work there, my mum worked there before I was born. I took care of paperwork, filing, typing out invoices, that kind of thing. It was a good job for a girl back then. I didn't work a till or anything though. I was quite shy, so I wouldn't have liked to have worked a till.
この話じゃない。あ、来た。待って待って。激アツ背景来たじゃん。激アツ背景。待って、この2個激アツだ。イブだもんだった。どっちも。このゲーム、イブが出てきたの激アツだから、マジで。赤保留だよ。こっちから行こうか。
Must think it's very cool that their dad is a police detective.
父親刑事なんだね。ほい。
Mum and Dad had never had any reason to notice. They were always busy. If Hannah was eating a lot, they didn't mind. She didn't put on any weight. That girl has a healthy appetite. If they heard us talking in the attic, they just thought it was Hannah playing one of her games, and that Eve was our imaginary friend. Once, she was already up and dressed and ready to go to school, and I snuck down for a piss. Mum saw me in my underwear, she went mad. Get dressed this instant! So I ducked into our bedroom, and seconds later, out came Hannah, dressed and ready. Mum was amazed.
まあ、そうだよな。イブの扱い、イブの立ち位置がよくわからんな、これ。花めっちゃ食ってたらしい。わーって。なんでこの両親はイブのことを認知してないんだ？なんでイブのことを認知してないんだろうね。花めっちゃ食う量ね、多くなったから、まあちょっとね、ふくよかになって、イブは何も食ってねえから、細いまま。なんでこれ空想友達イブって言ってるんだこれ。それはお母さんびっくりするわな。
Mum saw me in my underwear, she went mad. Get dressed this instant! So I ducked into our bedroom, and seconds later, out came Hannah, dressed and ready. Mum was amazed.
それは驚くわな。体型違えんだもんだってその一日で。二重人格の説はちょっと薄いかも。だって体型ごと違うんだもん、多分。何？クイックチャット上司から来た。どんな感じだ？終わったか？まだです。まだ。終わった。びっくりしたわ。あとちょっと適当に調べてみよう。キッチン。キッチン出てきた。
Parked up on the street. It was busy, so I parked down the end of the road. I walked up to the house. I knocked on the door. No answer. I took my keys out of my bag, unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked.
これ死体発見の時の話だ。
Because the key wouldn't turn when I tried to turn it to the left. I walked in.
これさっき聞いたな。
His coat wasn't on the peg.
これさっき聞いたぞ。
Shoes on the shoe rack. I shouted out for him. I walked straight into the kitchen. He usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper. He wasn't there. I touched the kettle, it was cold.
なんでこれさっきも聞いたのにこれ新しいクリップとして上がってるんだ。
I walked upstairs to the bedroom, he wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. Then I had a shower. Whilst I was in the shower, the phone
エリックからでしょ？
It was Eric, his boss. I didn't answer it. Then I came out and I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, but I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. I spoke
これなんで同じ話してんだこれ。
then I called Simon's parents, and then I decided to come and see you. That enough?
さっきも同じ話してんのこれどっかで。
Okay. I parked up in the street.
ほら
Wasn't there? His shoes in the shoe
待ってしかも服違うし。
rack.
ちょっと待って、服違うわこれ。これイブと花いる。待って同じ話でもこれ人違うわ、喋ってる人。なんだよくわかんない、よくわかんないぞ。これは
A mobile phone? Yeah. Well, they have one for the glaziers, but it's only for work. I can't remember the number. Oh, it's in the kitchen. I saw it plugged into its charging cradle.
あ、ウィッグ言ってたね、ウィッグ言ってたね。イブだよね。そうや、ウィッグかぶってるって言ってたね。はい、来た。来た、ウィッグ。
This was 9, about 9. I went round and she was waiting for me. She was furious and so angry. The kind of anger you can only
激アツ来たよ。
yourself. We screamed at each other, argued, cried, we fought. I hit her back, left a bruise. I had my wig on from performing, she tore it off. Eventually, we grew tired of fighting. I left.
これどこの話してるんだろう。ハンナと殴り合いしてるわ。多分。これもイブだ。
This other person doesn't exist. I don't know what the blonde wig is, but it could be anything. Have you looked at the cat flap? This other person doesn't exist. I don't know what the blonde wig is, but it could be
あれ、
anything.
ブロンドの話最初に出てきたね、そういえば。
You looked at the cat flap.
ヘレンじゃなかったブロンドの髪の人。違ったっけ。これは
No, I've never worn a wig.
はい、ウィッグの話。
What kind of wig?
あれなんじゃない、その、屋根裏部屋で見つかった毛がウィッグの毛だったんじゃない。それでウィッグ被ったことありますかっつってないですって話じゃないこれ多分。そういう話じゃない多分。ブロンドで調べるのもありだね。
A wig? You mean... What type of wig?
おそらくそういう話なんじゃないか。ブロンド。ほら、鉄腕とも来たぞこれ。また歌うんじゃないこれ。
You want to say something?
何やってんだこれ。なんで、
Not the world's
なんで、
best one.
これ何なんだこれ。伝統的バラードはどうもらった。たまにトロフィー要素があるんだなこのゲーム。歌うまい下手あるかな。どうなんだ。イブとハンナでってこと。そういうことが。歌がうまいとか下手とかあるのか。歌調べてみる。待って、歌で2個出てきたんだけど。もう怖い。待って、歌で2個出てきたよ。見てみるわ。
So I moved out. Got a small bed sit. Got my tattoo to mark the
あ、
occasion.
これ縦入ってたね。
I was singing in a bar in the evenings. So I
Bar?
had some money, enough money to cover my rent. And I've been doing something similar ever since. I haven't put down any roots. I don't exist.
もう背景白いやつ激アツだから全部保存してくからセッションに。あ、
He saw me singing one of my shows. Pure chance. Not sure I remember what he was even doing there. Afterwards, I had a drink at the bar and he came over and
サイモンとの出会いか、それともカールとの出会いかな。
I knew who he was. Obviously I knew who he was, but he didn't know who I was. He was fascinated by the likeness. He guessed my name from my tattoo.
誰の話してんのこれ。
It was a palindrome, but that would impress me. I enjoyed talking to him. It was amazing to be able to sit and interact and talk to him after all this time. He didn't tell me he was married.
浮気してんな、ここ。
Not sure what he was thinking.
これ浮気してないこれ。
He later told me it was like he was dreaming. A waking dream.
イブ浮気してるっぽくね。浮気してるっぽいなこれイブ。だからなんかどっかの取り調べで浮気がどうのこうのって話したのかな。私は存在しないと言ってたよ。存在。はい、来た。
Can you imagine? I tried.
あ、ここね、さっきの話だ。
I tried to get pregnant too, but it didn't happen. I slept with so many boys, men. My body refused. I think my period stopped because hers had. I was pretty ill. I mean, how could we stay the same now?
妊娠してるかしてないかだよね。
Felt like Hannah had really fucked things up.
サイモンの話してるね。
We had become different.
うわびっくりした。それやめろマジで。本当にびっくりするから。妊娠トライでいいや。生理。はい来たー。
If one of us got hurt, the other one would have to be hurt too. A grazed knee.
もう傷の位置まで花と
When I lost
イブ
my
は
teeth first,
あれだったんだね。やっぱ一心同体とはそういう意味だ。やっぱり妊娠で全て狂ったんだ。
I slept with a boy who was seeing another girl. The girlfriend came up to Hannah the next day and punched her in the face, gave her a huge black eye. That night, she had to do the same to me. And she almost went too far. I couldn't see out of that eye for days. She snuck a frozen piece up for me from the kitchen. So much of our bodies were synchronized anyway. We started our period on the same day.
だけど妊娠で狂ったんだ全て。
Childhood diseases, stomach bugs, nits. I think it was that time, the first
これ多分
time
カールの話だ。
at the house,
これカールの話だね。
in his bed, that I got pregnant.
あれ違うな。
Amazing, right?
あ、違うあれだ。花のほど
How to explain?
魔法の摂取です。いいですね。
They say lightning doesn't strike twice.
あ、二人目生まれるって言ってたもんね。
I didn't tell him. I missed 3 periods. I had pretty irregular periods anyway, but 3. I had always thought we were infertile. Both of us. I didn't tell him. Just waited. Hannah and I were meeting for our birthday, and I told her because I thought she would be
あ、
happy.
違う、これイブの話か。なんだ
I think she was.
どっちだ。精子で調べてみよう。まあさすがにこれじゃ出てこないか。まあちょっと話がごっちゃになってきたな。待てよ。これ誰の話してんだこれ。まあ、妊娠したの、これ多分花の話だよね。まだこの話裏があるもしかして。カールとイブのやって子供いるのかな。だっていつも、花は奥手でイブがグイグイ系で、で、花はアピールして、けど夜は、カールは実際イブとセックスしてたと。で、花自体は、処女初めて奪ったのはサイモンで、で、それ一発で妊娠したじゃん。イブは妊娠したってこともともと。どういうこと？まあ、2回目のミラクルってこれ、何の話してるんだろうね。
Yes, that's my birthday. Not one of the big ones, but I guess you can see that.
サプライズって言ってたよね。
It was my birthday, like you said. We were going to have a meal at home.
で、喧嘩してってことだよね。
He gave me
そしたらロックに行ってたってことだよね。
I guess I didn't like the present.
ミラクルで調べてみようか。俺しか出てこないか。2回目のミラクル、1回目のミラクルは何だったんだろうね。イブも妊娠したんだよ、多分。1回目のミラクルは、花が処女だったけど、一発で妊娠させたこと。2回目のミラクルは、妊娠を試みていくらやってもダメだったイブも妊娠したことってこと？だったら浮気ってさっきのその取り調べの話とはちょっと、辻褄も合うような気がするけど。これ多分イブが妊娠した時の話だね。そういうことだよね、多分ね。だいたい読めてきた、ちょっとずつ。サイモン、イブとも花ともどちらとも肉体関係ですね、これは。セックスしてます。だから三角関係だ、サイモンとイブと花。そう、なんでサイモンを殺すことになったのかわかんないんだよね。そもそもまず。あくまでそのさっきの俺の家庭はどうなのかわかんないけど。来たぞ、イブの。
What did your wife do? She didn't kill you. You think I killed Simon because he was having an affair? Well, I didn't kill him. I wasn't even there. I was in Glasgow worrying about whether my baby was still growing inside me. I mean, why would I kill Simon? I loved him.
これは
When you suspect someone of murdering their husband.
なんで殺したかがわかんねえんだよな。そこまでがまだたどり着いてね。
Suicide? No. I mean, he would never do anything like that. He is not the kind of person to do anything like that. I mean, to hurt himself? No.
なんなんだ。このさ、真っ白い背景のクリップ全部埋めたいわ。これ一から見たいわ、時系列的に。時系列順番に。この白いやつだけでいいから。なんでなんだろうね。子供で調べたっけ？あ、調べてない。
Sorry. The picture, the way it's drawn, just reminded me of the books we used to read as children.
待って、ここの話って多分さ、人形部屋みたいなところの話してるよね、多分ね。人形の家とかの関連の話だと思う、多分。
Rapunzel was my favorite. My brain is just full of it. How many of these in color?
ラプンツェル調べてみる？おい、来た、ラプンツェル来た。
We were obsessed with fairy tales. Not just the pretty ones, but the traditional ones. They were dark and real, bizarre and violent. Felt like life. We had a huge old book that I think Mum must have bought from a library sale. The illustrations had thin tracing paper over them to protect them. They were in colour, shiny plates. At the front of the book was an index of illustrations. We read that more than the actual story.
目次をよく読んでたんだ。
We'd read aloud the captions and flip between the pictures. There was something intimate about peeling back the
ああ、なるほどね。
undressing the pictures.
そういうことか。
Rapunzel's hair was cut.
ラプンツェルの話してたもんね。
Plucks out his heart. The princess pricks her finger.
これは？
Did I pass? Sorry, I messed it up with all that Rapunzel stuff. Do you need me to do that card again?
本。お。
No, he doesn't have any tattoos. He has a scar down here near his stomach. Past his hip.
これ花だね。あ、そうだよね。
With some glass.
ガラスで切ったの。ずいぶん前のことだけど。
A long time ago. He looks just like the photo. He's not got his glasses on here though. He takes them off with the camera. But he needs them to see properly.
これサイモンの話か。
He has to read a
サイモンの話か？どっちだ？
In a restaurant. Not book so much. or watching TV.
確か死んだ時メガネかけてねえって言ってたよな。多分、特徴的には多分サイモンの話してる子多分。おそらく。
He has a wallet, a huge
これ多分サイモンの特徴だね。
leather, real leather, I think. He packs it full of stuff, business cards, receipts, lottery tickets. He always carries it in his back pocket. I think that's why he's got a bad back. Sets the discs. I haven't seen it, so he must have it on him. He always takes it out of his back pocket before when he comes in, if he's in the house.
財布取られてるっぽい。でもって。これは
I mean, I don't know.
これも花か。
Something must have happened to him on his way home. He could be hurt. I mean, why hasn't he phoned? I don't know.
これ物取られてね、サイモン。一回おとぎ話行こうか。あ、来た。お、来た。やばい。激アツ来た、二つも。待って、これもだ。激アツ三つ。おとぎ話激アツ三つあるわ。これから見ていこうか。
And the Glaziers. I worked there some weekends and some had a part-time job.
そうだね、働いてるって言ってたね、ガラス屋さんで
That
ね。
was Eric's generosity. He was always good at helping out other people's children. Simon was quiet, more thoughtful than the other boys. Even then, he had a sense of craftsmanship. All of that age are just running around like chickens with the dog.
なるほど。エリックの両親とサイモンは知り合いだったんだね。エリック父とエリックの母とお二人はサイモンと知り合いだったんだ。で、ガラス屋さんに就職したって感じか。はい、行きましょうか。激アツ。
Well, she wasn't my real mother, but she raised me. Do you want to hear the story? It's a real life fairy tale.
あ、気になる。気になる。はい。
Fairy tales. Stories about lost princesses, evil witches, magical mirrors, and lost children. So you see, even before I knew the truth, I'd found it in those stories.
やべえ、探偵助手 50% 以上のデータベースのアクセスを完了したらしいよ俺。大体見てるってことだ。最初さ、イブのやつ見たいな。あ、これか待てよ。
My mother called me Eve.
この母って多分違う。実の母親じゃないと思うな。どっからそのワード見つけてこよう。育てる。育て。はい、来たー。
Florence raised me in her home. I never left it.
フローレン
She kept me
ス。
out of sight. It wasn't odd for people to see a midwife with a baby, carrying in supplies, washing nappies, that sort of thing. I never knew any different. I grew up looking out of my window
多
and
分これ
seeing
は
her
花の話だな。
across the road. I thought it was like a reflection in the mirror. She was me.
自分とかでも調べたら出てくるんじゃね？あ、出てきた。
No, he doesn't keep diaries.
日記。
That's my thing. I've kept one, well, as long as I can remember, since I was a girl. Helps make sense of my day. And when you're forced to put something into words,
あれ日記の話題どっかで出てきたな。
perspective.
なんか紙の上では饒舌になるのねみたいな話してたよな、イブが。ほら来た。
Florence was a warm, kind person. But she was broken, I guess.
フローレンスっていう人がいるんだ。
When I found her diary, I also found a biscuit tin with other stuff in it. Older papers, letters, that kind of thing. Her story.
フローレンスで調べよう次。
I never really spoke to her about it. I was far too young to really.
おそらく育ての親なんじゃないか。
Put it together later, once I was older. She had loved children, planned to have a large family, but her husband died in the war. And that was back when you married for life. She never felt like she could marry again. Isn't that strange? She was a widow from her 20s. But, I mean, I guess it was different.
なるほど。フローレンスの夫は死んでるんだ、戦争で。
For life, and she felt she could never marry again. I guess it was harder, a war widow. One of the dead. I don't know, maybe there was more to it than that. I don't really know.
フローレンス家で育ったって、俺あれかと思った。なんかフローレンスっていうなんか、そういうなんか、人の名前と認知してなかった。なんかそういう素材の家なのかなと思ってた。そういう素材の家なのかなって思っちゃった。フローレンスの父は戦死。その後未婚。そう、フローリングと同じニュアンスだったわ。
When I was 8, mother died. She slipped down the stairs.
おー。
It was an accident.
フローレンスも死んだの
I
か。
read a diary at that point and I knew she wasn't my real mother. So I burned the diary that day and I left. Walked out and across the street.
母で死んでるんだ、フローレンス。イブが8歳の時に。フローレンス調べようか。多分フローレンスやばいと思うよ。多分このキーワード多分激アツだと思うよ。はい、来た。全部真っ白。
Florence took me home with her. Mother hadn't been expecting twins and had a healthy baby. I guess she was just happy for Florence to clean up. Take away the evidence that this was anything but a happy occasion.
父と、母がいて、花を産んだから、産んで満足したんだ。で、イブを捨てたんだ。そういうことだ、多分。満足して、イブを捨てた。これは？
No. It was just me and her. Eve was the name they were going to call their first child. They talked about it and were going to try when he came back.
多分これフローレンスの話だ。
Florence's family had a history of firstborn girls, so they were convinced it was going to be a girl. It's hard to know if this is all true. These are stories I remember that I
あー、大体分かった。そっか、名付け親なんだ。イブの。
Sometimes it's hard to remember what happened last week.
イブの名付け親だ、これ。フローレンスが。そりゃそうか。花の両親はイブを産んだけど、イブって名前つけてないから分かんねえのは当然なのか。そういうことになるよね。だね。いや、けど結局まだ真相にはたどり着いてないんだよな。なんでサイモン殺しちゃったんだろうっていうところまではまだ至ってないんだよね。そこにまだつかめてない。まだちょっとふわふわしてる部分はある。どちらかというと今やってることってイブの身辺調査みたいなところはあるよね。年で調べてみるか。あ、出てきたよ。しかもイブのやつ。
Cute. You must love them very much. What ages are they? Yeah, we were 17. It was a nice wedding, people said. Simon looked very handsome in the photos. His parents paid for everything, but he's an only child. So
サイモン一人っ子なんだ。
It was what they called a shotgun wedding, but if you looked at the photos, you couldn't tell. The dress was
俺
beautiful.
タトゥーで調べたいな。
It looked like Princess Diana's. The train wasn't quite as long though. There's a great photo of the bridesmaid helping to carry it out of the car.
タトゥーで調べたい。はい、来た。
Oh, my tattoo. I got it to express my individuality. It's an apple and a snake.
おお、また証明。なんか、またトロフィーもらったわ。あとなんだろうね。あとなんか、あれだよね。花はさ、なんか傷があるって言ってたよね。それも調べてみたいな。はい、来た。
Fine. I've never had my fingerprints taken before.
指紋。
I once found
やけどの跡。はい、来た。指紋めっちゃ出てきた。バカ出てきた指紋。
fingerprints.
あ、これ、あれじゃない？指紋が違ったんじゃない？
Fingerprints.
花とイブで指紋が違ったんじゃない？
Yes. Yeah. I would have cleaned them. I changed the sheets too. With the fingerprints in all those places.
うん、これ、ちょっとこれ重要そうだ。保存しとこう。
Could they have been my parents' fingerprints? I'm not sure how long they last for, but is that possible?
指紋の不一致というか、あれ指紋がめっちゃついてたって話か。指紋の話。ひとまず、指紋のリアクションで保存しとこう。これは
Really? Go on then. Take the cup. Run your fingerprints. They'll match. Fucking do it.
掃除の話多分さ、どうや、地下室なんか掃除したみたいな話したよな。掃除の話もしてみよっか。あ、来た。
A week or so ago. It would have been the Saturday before my birthday. You know, I get like that on the weekends, have a lie-in, then want to get up and blitz the house.
あとなんだろうね。朝とか。あ、来た。はい、来た。
When beautiful people died, we always felt like it was a sign. You remember Princess Grace? Grace Kelly? She died in a car crash the year before we met Simon. We used a Ouija board to speak to
彼
her
女が
about
事
giving
故
us
死。
the power to...
フローレンスの話か？
That's what we thought then.
あ、違う、いや違う、フローレンスじゃない。
Tragically
フローレンス死んだの8歳だ。
died.
イブが。
We used to share dreams.
誰か死んでるな、これ。
We used to wake up and write them down in our diaries immediately and compare them.
誰か死んでね？誰だ？フローレンスが死んだのは8歳だったはずだ。うんだよね。だからフローレンスじゃない。誰か死んでる。8歳もキーワードなんだと思うな。8歳、8歳。あ、来た、ほら、8歳。はい。
I think
あ、8時、これ8時だったわ。
it was about 8 or something.
8時。
And I got back to the house about 3.
家に着いたの3時。って言ってるよ。これアリバイの話だね。8で7個のクリップあるんだ。あとなんだろう。いや、結局なんでサイモンが死んだのか全然わかんねえ。喉。あら。喉切られて死んだって言ってたよな。あ、来た。来た。喉で激アツクリップが2個も出てきた。待って、これ見てみようか、まず。
On his throat. How?
行くぞ。で、激アツクリップ見るよ。これ多分殺した理由について語ってるんじゃないか。
Like I said before, it was 3,
3時。
something like that.
これ熱いぞ。
I walked in, saw Simon.
うん。
He was on the floor of the living room.
床に横たっていた。 喉が切り裂かれていて、
cut. There was a lot of blood.
血だらけで。
He was dead.
待って、あ、なんでもない、もう一回聞くか。
Like I said before, it was saw Simon
3時に死んでるね、もうサイモンが。なんか話と違うんだよな。
throat cut.
話違くない？
Dead.
なんか袋に詰めたとか話してなかった？これは？
Her story is that she'd waited for him to come back. She put on my wig, some of my clothes, pretended to be me.
あ、なんだ？
They talked. She'd enjoyed being me. He said he wanted to be with me. Then he took out a present. Another mirror. Just like the one he'd given her earlier. That unique present. She went crazy, smashed the mirror. They argued, screamed. He hit her. So she grabbed a piece of the mirror and just swung it round. She cut his throat clean open.
あ、これ重要。待って、これ重要だぞ。これ、直接殺してるわ。今ちょっと寒気した、今。サイモンがここで死んでる。
Her story is that she'd waited for him to come back.
んだ、そうそうそう。
She put on my wig, some of my clothes.
そう、言い合いになって出てって、帰ってきて、ちょっとまだわかんないところがある。なんで花がウィーク被ってるんだ？なんでイブのふりしてるんだろう？そっか、わかったわ。
Be with me.
花とサイモンは結婚したけど、その後イブに衣替えしようとしてるんだ。で、花が渡した鏡をそのままイブに渡そうとしてるってこと？そういうこと？浮気してんだ、イブとサイモンが。いや、大体わかった。大体わかってきた気がする。殺した理由は、殺意があって殺したわけじゃない。いや、ちょっとこれ、もうちょっと調べたいな。いや、大体で、口裏合わせて、鏡片付けて、袋に入れて、ってことか。ひとまずそこまでの流れを読めたわ。だから、グラスゴーで目が覚めたのは嘘。どこまでが本当かって言われたら多分、病院に行ったのまでは多分事実だと思う。タクシーとぶつかって、免許持ってなかったって言ってたから、免許持ってないのはイブの方だから、イブも妊娠したってことか。そうだよね。イブも妊娠してる。花は子供生まれてる。ってことか。ちょっとまだなんか腑に落ちない部分はあるんだよな。正直。そこをちょっと解消していきたいね。イブは後から合流したんだね、これね。イブは後から合流したんだ。その時にはもうすでに死んでたんだ、サイモンは。そういうことだよね。待ってよ。花って家出したけど、ずっと待ってたってことか。そっか。イブが出てたんだ。ちょっとまとめて見ていくか。
Yes, my name is Hannah Smith. Oh, shit. Sorry. He saw me singing one of my shows. Pure chance. Not sure I remember what he was even doing.
これザロックの話かな。
Afterwards, I had a drink at the bar and he came over and we got talking. I knew who he was. Obviously, I knew who he was. But he didn't know who I was. He was fascinated by the likeness. He guessed my name from my tattoo. Told me it was a
いや、これ多分サイモンとの出会いだな。うん。
I enjoyed talking to him. It was amazing to be able to sit and interact and talk to him after all this time.
ここで浮気したんだ。
He didn't tell me he was married.
ほら。
I'm not sure
多分そう。
He later told me it was like he was dreaming. A waking dream.
で、イブも妊娠したんじゃない？サイモンのミラクルで。で、花と殴り合い。
This was about 9. I went round and she was waiting for me. She was furious and so angry.
喧嘩しちゃったからね、これ、サイモンと。
And you can only have towards yourself. We screamed at each other, argued, cried, we fought. I hit her back, left a bruise. I had my wig on from performing and she tore it off. Eventually, we grew tired.
喧嘩してる理由も分かってきたな、これ。
I left.
なるほど。イブは帰ったんだ、ここで。21時過ぎか。なんか、いや、もう、分かったわ。時系列大体分かってきた。グラスゴーに行ったのはイブだ。花は多分家出してない。だから免許がなかったのも納得がいくわ。そういう話だよね、多分ね。
It happened very quickly. We hardly had to talk to each other. We agreed almost.
はいはいはい。これ殺した後の話だね。
The baby was what mattered. We'd help each other.
イブが妊娠してるからね。
We cleaned up. We bagged up the
うん
baby.
うんうんうんうんうんうんうん。
They're gone. We took him down to the cellar. We knew we had an alibi, and we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then disprove it, rather than have it linger. Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it.
うん。
The watch, that was my touch, to make sure the alibi stuck.
そうだ、多分。時系列的にまず、多分同じ鏡が2個あって、プレゼントで。で、まず、花が誕生日で、花に鏡をあげました。だけど、そんなことよりも、お前イブと浮気してねっていうので、喧嘩になりました。で、サイモンは8時に家を出ました。そして、イブと花が喧嘩して、で、9時頃にイブは家を出ました。で、喧嘩した時にイブのウィッグとかを奪ってるから、花はイブのふりをして、サイモンを待ちます。で、サイモンが夜中の3時に帰ってきます。そして、イブにサイモンが2人で一緒になろうと言って、もう一つの鏡を渡します。で、それを見た花は、その鏡を見てブチ切れて、鏡を割り、で、割った鏡の破片を威嚇のつもりで振りかざしたら、サイモンの喉にスパッと入っちゃって、サイモンが死にます。そして、たまたま戻ってきたイブが、それを見つけます。で、それで、イブはサイモンの子を身ごもっているので、子供を大事にしようということで、口裏合わせて、サイモンを袋に入れ、地下室に遺体を隠すと。っていうトリックで大丈夫そうですかね。そういうことだよね、きっと。多分これで辻褄合ってるよ、多分これで。大雑把に言うとね。結構長かったぞ、ここまでの道のりが。なかなか悲しい物語だった。これ、あれか、撃てないのか。あ、終わったよ。いいか。あ、来た。やめろ、それ。あ、なるほど。俺、イブの子なんだ。イブの子というか多分、花の子供なんだ、俺。まさかのオチですね。けどこれメッセージが難しいわ。これどうやって送ればいいんだろう。浮気、不倫。これどう入力すればいいんだろう。これ難しくね、ここのチャットの入力。ここのチャット難しい。待って、ここのチャットむずいぞ。どうすればいいんだろう。謎解きより難しいチャットなんだけど、ここ。だって全部審査分かったんだよ。審査分かったけど、これ多分正解っていうかさ、これ一言一句あってないとダメでしょ、多分これ。やばい、ここが一番難しい。どうしよう。ここが一番難しいぞ。はいでいいか。あ、来た。はいできた。ならよかったよ、サラ。外で待ってるからログオフして出てきてくれ。そういうことか。 なんでこんなことしたかが分かったのかいっていうのを聞いてたのか。理由を聞かれてんのかと思った。なぜこんなことをしたのか教えてみろっていうことだと思ってた。そういうことね。なんでこんなことしたのか大体分かったかいってことか。おお。クソおもろかったぞこのゲーム。頭使ったわ。人間関係図とか書いて。だいたいデータベースの半分は見たのか、動画。けど多分一個だけ多分ね、見れてないものがあるんだよね。一個だけ多分ハッキングされてデータないわ。それを見つけ出す方法が多分どっかにあるはず。それはちょっと、みんなも買って確かめてみてほしい、これは。バカおもろかった、本当に。どうやったら自分の欲しい情報を引き出せるかっていうのを考えるのがめちゃくちゃ大変だった。それと同時に、何時にこういうことがあったとか、この人とこの人はどういう関係だったとか、情報の精査もね、頭使ったけど、めちゃくちゃおもろかったね。以上、HerStoryでした。神ゲーでした、マジで。クソ神ゲーでした。